Hello, everyone. Cecil Martin here.
Hey, this is Hunter Henry.
What's up, man? This is Max Crosby, part of Raider Nation.
Hey, this is Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman.
Hey, it's Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks.
Hey, this is Jerry Judy, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, and you're listening to the Full10Yard NFL podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Full10Yards NFL podcast. I'm your host Sam Moores and this is our Week 13 preview. God, the season's... We've only got 5 weeks left of the regular season, mate. It seems mental.
It's flown by. It's flown by completely.
I know. As you just heard there, joining me today to break down every single game you can see on UK TV this week is Owen Cawdell. How are you doing, Owen?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Just calmed down from that roller coaster last night. But yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
We'll get on to that game now. I'm of course talking about Thursday Night Football, where the Seattle Seahawks unfortunately lost to the Dallas Cowboys, who won 41-35 to go 9-3 on the season. And what a game! What a Thursday Night Football game as well. Normally they're a bit rubbish. Yeah, it was a shootout, back and forth from the very start. And it was a treat for our eyes as well. Not only for the uniform matchup, because it was an awesome uniform matchup, the Seahawks wearing their new throwbacks, but also what we saw in the field, wasn't it, Owen?
Oh, completely. I mean, I think it's probably Thursday night of the year so far for sure. I don't know. It's just, what a game. I think my resting heart rate was through the roof for most of it. I mean, as a Seahawks fan, first and foremost, I've got to apologise to Shane Waldron because I've chatted an almighty amount of crap about him these last 4 weeks, but he called this game perfectly. And I mean, yes, we lost, but the positives were there completely for us. And looking back on it, what a game.
We'll start with Seattle's offense, and it's been injured all year, flat for parts of it, as you were saying. A lot of criticism for Shane Waldron, but they turned up in this one. DK Metcalf has started to look healthier now, which is huge for them going into the rest of the season. He had an unreal game, 6 catches for 134 yards and 3 touchdowns. One of those being the 73-yard slant touchdown on Deron Bland, who has a bit of a Deron Bland experience. The reason why he gets targeted and the reason why there's so many pick sixes is because he's not that great in coverage. So QBs think they're going to have a chance, but a lot of the time they have been caught out because he is great with his hands, which is what we've seen this year with his, 7, no, it might be 6 anyway. He's had a ton of pick sixes and he got his 8th interception of the year last night. Going back to the Seahawks offense, Jackson Smith and Jigba had a great day too. 7 catches for 62 yards, and he had a touchdown call, but a deep touchdown, weirdly overturned by Clete Blakeman. I don't think it
made no sense.
Yeah,
at all. If we hadn't scored this touchdown afterwards, I would have been fuming. But you can't take it off him like that.
Even the Amazon Prime rules analyst Terry McCauley, he was saying that there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it, and then literally as he was saying that, the Clete Blakeman was like, nope, he doesn't have. Basically, he doesn't have possession for the whole football move, so obviously it was ruled an incomplete pass. As the quarterback, Geno Smith, he had one of his best games. I thought he was excellent yesterday. They put the second most points past the Dallas defense all season. And this is the Dallas defense that prior to this game was giving up just 15.4 points per game. Third to only San Francisco and Baltimore. And it's a defense that has scored more touchdowns than some starting quarterbacks this season. So, I mean, look, despite defeat, as a Seahawks fan, Aaron, I expect you're probably pretty encouraged by what you saw last night.
I mean, completely. We went last 7 quarters of football we played, we hadn't scored an offensive touchdown. So that DK Metcalf bomb in the first drive of the game, I kind of sat up and was like, okay. But it was cooking on all cylinders. We looked like a very dynamic offense, especially even without Kenneth Walker. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba had a game. Noah Fant and Will Disley didn't really come up, but Noah Fant came up clutch in times where he needed him, and Ty Lockett may have had a quiet day. He was still great. He was still Ty Lockett and DK Metcalf with the 3 touchdown game. I mean, could talk about him all day, but it was a complete performance. I think what I was confused about watching last night was what on earth has happened to our offensive line. You think about the talents, first half especially, we didn't concede a single sack against the likes of Lawrence and Parsons and that very talented Cowboys D-line. It was a great watch. It was an unbelievable watch, that first half. And, I mean, our defense showed out, especially without Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks left the game second quarter, which is a big hit. Like, he's a massive hit, especially in terms of a leader on that defense. He's the one who goes up and talks and gets people in line. I mean, Reek Willen got a couple, I thought, harsh pass interference calls, which, especially, I think there was one that was for 47 yards. I thought was very harsh. But, I mean, we just came up short when it mattered at the end of the game. That Jake Ferguson touchdown with Jamal Adams near, he's got to make a better play there. The amount of money we're paying him, he has to make a better play there. But I was really encouraged with what I saw, to be honest. Great game. And you look ahead to the 49ers and you think maybe if we show out like that again, we could get a positive result. But, I mean, leading in a game like that at the AT&T Stadium is something special this year, especially. And I think it was our best complete game of the season so far. And I think it represented that. We just came short without the win.
As for Dallas, we've been talking all season about how good their defense has been. It stepped up and made the play that was needed at the very end, which obviously is crucial for them, because if they lost this game and Philly win on Sunday night, then their quest for the division title was pretty much over at that point. For Dallas, it's great they got through this, and it showed that they won as a team, and it was great. It was great for them, and I'm sure Mike McCarthy is relieved at that point as well, and Cowboys fans too, because sometimes other Cowboys teams maybe don't win this game, if I'm being honest with you.
Nah.
He's probably looked to probably kept his job with how Dak's looking this season. Him and Jalen Hurts have probably been the best two quarterbacks in the last month or two, I'd say. He had another 299 yards and 3 touchdowns for his season tally last night, and he looked awesome. This is probably the best Dak has ever looked, I think certainly since his rookie year, potentially. He's off his worst season that I was very critical of last year. I ranked him quite lowly in our QB rankings for the guide this year, but he's been excellent this last month or so. He's on last week he posted one of the highest PFF grades ever, and then another great week this week, and he's right there with Jalen Hurts in the MVP race now, isn't he, mate?
Yep, completely. I mean, if you told me at the start of the year that Dak Prescott MVP race, I would have thought, what are you on about? But no, he looks really good last night again, really complete. He just looks confident with the ball in his hands now. He just looks really confident. And I mean, I think we sacked him 3 times in the first half, which I still to this day don't know how. But he just kept his composure and he did what's needed. He didn't try and force throws like he did last year. I think he tried to force throw once to CeeDee Lamb, but CeeDee Lamb was having one of them games where you think he could catch it. But I think they're a very dynamic offense now with talents like Tony Pollard and Jake Ferguson and CeeDee Lamb, who's having a year. He had a game last night as well. And it's just it looks like a really nice offense, and he just looks more comfortable on the ball. I would say as well, this is a bit of a record. It's the 5th ever NFL game without a punt, and I think it speaks volumes about how good both offenses were last night.
Yeah, that's an awesome start. That is, I love it. With Dallas, they're now 9-3. They need Philly to lose to San Francisco before they play them again next week, because if Philly do lose, then this makes the NFC 1 seed absolutely open. Mental, wide open. We'll talk about it later on, because there's another huge game in that quest later on this week. And as for Seattle, obviously they're now 6-6, and the playoff probability went down quite a lot by losing last night.
Yeah, went from 76 to like 34. I think it was huge.
But if their schedule is better than others, especially it's going to be very tight between. There's 4 teams that are going to be contesting for the NFC wildcard right now, and they'll be hoping that they can maybe hold on. After last night, I'm more encouraged to make the playoffs than I was beforehand. Even after a loss, I still think they're better than the Rams, better than the Packers right now. It's just whether they win more games or than the Rams and the Packers. I think the Vikings don't make the playoffs now from the way they're going. But I think it's between those 3 teams, and I'm more confident about Seattle now than I was going into the game, even after a loss. How about you, mate? Just to finish off.
There's just still a lot of big games to play. I mean, we got Eagles, we've got to play 49ers again. We got Chiefs on Christmas. There's still a hell of a lot of big teams left to play. I feel like there's a thing among the fan base right now, is if we don't make playoffs, it is a failure. And I do agree, it's a failure of a season if we don't make playoffs. I'm not sure if we do, to be honest. I think along the road, along that 3 games that we still have to play, I think we lose 2 of them, if not 3. and then you're staring down the barrel of you got to panic, and it's become must-win games. And if one slip up, you miss out. It gets tough.
I think there's going to be that'll put you at 8 and 9, and the way it's looking, there are probably going to be one, if not two, teams in the NFC that are 8 and 9 going into the playoffs. So it's still a possibility. But yeah, I get what you're saying completely.
Yeah, it's going to be tense. It's going to be very, very tense.
And on to a game that will be very tense throughout, I'm sure, if you're a Broncos or a Texans fan. Those two teams face off in the main game on Sunday. It's on Sky, and it's by far the game of the early window for me. It's a pretty poor slate, especially early, actually. And it's because we've got so many teams on a bye. We've got 6 teams on a bye this week, so it's quite a short slate. But I'm sure, for me, it's great because I get to concentrate on more on the games pretty easier. And look, we've got the big game that we'll talk about later. This game and the other game make this slate worth it completely. It's a huge game in the AFC wildcard picture. Houston are actually only one of the 2 home favourites as well, just going back this entire week, which is just mental. They're both 6 and 5, Houston and Denver, and they're both on the outside looking in. Houston at the 8th seed currently, Denver are 9th in the AFC, and a win here will put pressure on not only Indianapolis, who are currently in the playoffs, but also Cleveland and Pittsburgh, who are again in the playoffs but have a better record than the Colts. And both teams took a little while to get going, but since about week 6 they've been 2 of the best teams in football, and as we've seen, are capable of beating absolutely anyone. We've seen that by who the Texans have beaten this season and who the Broncos have beaten this season. You've got an awesome quarterback matchup too. 2 of my personal favourites at quarterback in Russell Wilson and CJ Stroud. They're both different stages of their career, but they're both having great seasons, especially with how Russell Wilson looked last year and how Stroud has just taken the league by storm. Owen, I can't wait to watch this one. I don't know about you, mate.
This game is awesome. It really is. It's one of them where you look at it and you're like, yeah, that'll be a game. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, the playoff implications on this one, again, is huge. If you look at playoff percentages, if Broncos win, they've got a 64% chance of making playoffs. If they lose, they only have a 21%. And it's similar with the Texans with a 54% versus an 18%. It is like it's a miniature playoff game. It really is. It's mental. And like, if you look at both of the teams and how they've been playing, Broncos are on a 5-game win streak. How has this happened? How has this happened? I think Charlie Grace, who we live with and writes Full 10 Yards, is now the happiest man in the world. And I don't know how it's happened, but with the Texans lost to Jaguars last week in a big game, do they bounce back? I mean, CJ Stroud and this offense have been really good, and it is against this Broncos defense, which really have been the pioneers to this turnaround of their season.
Yeah, and that's the battle of the game, really, isn't it? The Houston offense against the Denver defense. Obviously, because of Charlie, we'll have our keen eye on this game throughout. So it's one game that I just cannot wait to watch. And because of, I expect a similar output from both the Denver offense and the Houston defense. They're middle of the road, they're efficient. It really comes down to the Houston offense against the Denver defense. There's a top 10 offense against Denver's defense that have been very good in the last few months since that record-setting defeat in Miami. Like, if you look at the numbers, they're not great, but it's because they gave up almost, they gave up 700 yards in that game, and it's because they got 70 points. If you take away that game, they've had a good season defensively, especially recently. Denver lead the league in takeaways per game. Houston have been in the top 5 of the giveaways per game table in the last 3 games, especially. So that maybe it swings towards Denver a little bit. And then you look as well, Houston's receivers are a little banged up too. Dalton Schultz has unpracticed, but even then, it's still gonna be so be close, awesome. because it's the court. I think Stroud will probably have a better game than Russell Wilson in this game. But it's whether I think if Houston win this game, it's going to be, can Stroud win this game on his own? Can he? If Stroud can win this game, this is huge for him. It's huge for his development as well, because as a rookie, to be in a situation where the team is basically relying on you, or could rely on you towards the end of the game. So some quarterbacks, in their 5th, 6th, 7th years, haven't had many fourth quarter comebacks or fourth quarter drives. CJ Stroud already has had so many this season. Just add another one to that tally. And it's why it's so hard to pick this game, isn't it, Owen?
Yeah, I mean, it's just CJ Stroud versus the world, kind of. They're banged up, but he does have his number 1 target in Tank Dell, and that connection has been unreal all season. And I had a really tough time trying to call where this game is going to go. And I think it will come down to more key moments than anything. It'll be one of them where you look back and you go, oh, I should have, if that went a different way, or if that went slightly, yeah. I mean, it's really tough one to call, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to go with Denver to pull off an upset here, but I honestly think it could go either way. The Texans are favoured by 3.5, so it's quite a big spread. Against the spread, I'm going, but I just got a feeling that as I mentioned, Denver lead the league in takeaways, and Stroud he adds. Although he hasn't turned the ball over as much as the other rookie QBs, but also as much as the rest of the league, he's been quite safe for the football. If you look at his turnover where he plays, he's actually middle of the road, and he's been a bit lucky sometimes. We saw the last couple of games; those turnovers have happened, and against a team that are can take the ball away, I think there'll be a few more in this game. So it's why I think fine margins. I'm going to take Denver, but I honestly just can't wait to watch this game, if I'm being honest.
Mate, me too. But I'm going to go with the opposite. I think I'm going to take Houston. I've got to go with my guy, CJ Stroud. He's been unreal this season. I mean, we were laughing a couple of weeks ago about MVP votes, but he actually could be in the contention, especially if he wins a game like this in a big spot. I think, as you said, it'll come down to the various margins, but I'm going to go with Houston.
Awesome. We'll go through and just pick our winners in the rest of the games in the 6 p.m. slate before we get onto the big game between Philly and San Francisco. We'll start in the AFC South, an all AFC South battle between the Colts and the Titans. The Colts are 1.5 point favourites on the road. Tennessee's season's over, but they've got a chance to hurt the Colts here because the AFC playoff picture is just so tight. India, another team that have been on the rise late in the season, winning 3 games in a row, and they've got plenty of winnable games coming up. But if we lose this one, then it starts to get a little more complicated. Get through this one, and they're looking really, really good for a playoff spot with a game against Houston still to come. The Titans have been great at home this year, so it will certainly be a tough battle, I think. 4-1 at home this year and 0-6 on the road. So the fact they're at home does make this game really interesting. Another thing that makes this game interesting too is the fact that Jonathan Taylor is going to be out for this game and for the next few weeks after undergoing thumb surgery. He's not going to miss the season, so if the Colts do make the playoffs, he'll be there, but he'll be out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. That being said, I still think I'm going to go Indianapolis, but I do think it will be as close as the spread. I think it'll be a 2-3 point game. I hope the Titans make this one interesting, and Will Levis look good at points this season, especially last week in his first 2 games. At home, the Titans are a different beast, so I think they'll make it interesting, but give me the Colts to win this one.
I agree with all your points, but I'm going to go with a different team again. I mean,
okay.
Titans at home, as you said, have been incredible. Well, not incredible. They've been good this year. And Will Levis has been he's not been cooking. He's been simmering away. And I think this is one of them games where we'll go, okay, we know you. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be very, very close. I think it'll come down to the fine margins. But I think the Titans will throw a little spanner in the works for the Colts season.
Interesting. Right, we'll go over to New York now, where it will be Tim Boyle against Desmond Ridder. I can't wait for this one too. An awesome quarterback matchup. But no, so on a serious note, this game, of course, has massive playoff complications. Atlanta have the NFC South lead right now, and they'll be looking to move one game closer to the postseason before 2 huge division games coming up on their schedule. The Jets defense will make this one tough, though, and that's why it's going to be an incredibly low-scoring game. But it will be one that will come down to the very final drive of the game, I expect. It will be one that will keep people intrigued watching Red Zone or watching the game. But if the Falcons look like they did on defense, on defense, but also on offense last week too, or at least something similar, I'm going to edge them in this game, especially having probably the better quarterback here as well. Just give me Atlanta to win this one, but I'm not confident of it, if I'm being honest. And as for the Jets, quickly as well, Aaron Rodgers came back to practice this week. Obviously, he's not going to play in this game. He won't play for a few weeks. But he's been activated off IR, and I think it's time to play him overall, to be honest with you, I think. It doesn't matter this week. He's not going to play. But, if the Jets win this one, then maybe we might see Rodgers. But if the Jets lose this one, then, I think we won't see him this year. Because why risk his health if you're falling? Right?
Completely, and I don't think they're going to win this, so I don't think he plays this year. I think look, it is the quarterback battle of the decade, as you said. But Jets face a 4-game losing streak, and I think it carries on. It's just that even though their defense has still remained okay, the offense is terrible. They cannot get anything going on offense, at all. I know Atlanta have Desmond Ridder, who's not exactly a world beater, but I think it will be just enough to get over. I think this will be one of them games where you're watching Red Zone and they keep on going back to it and you're like, can you get off this game? I want to see the other ones. It'll be that sort of one. But yeah, I'm taking Atlanta. I'm not sure. To be honest, any team could win it. It might prove to be an absolute thriller. But I don't think it will be exciting. It's not the most exciting, is it?
No. Okay, we'll go over to two exciting offenses this season. I'm interested to see how this one goes between Miami and the Washington Commanders. With the way the Commanders' defense has played lately, I expect Miami's offense to have a field day. But Miami's injury report list is huge this week, and it looks like they might be about Javon Holland at safety as well. He's been one of the best safeties in the league the last couple of years. And that 99-yard pick six against the Jets last week. But pretty much the entire Dolphins offense has been limited in practice. So other than Tua, but Tyreek, all the running backs, a couple of offensive linemen have been. It looks like Teron Armstead might play. He was worried that it might be week to week with him, but he might suit up in this game, which would be massive for that offensive line in Tua. But yeah, so I think Miami's offense will be good either way. It's the Washington offense that makes this game interesting because they've been very hot and cold. It's either 35 points a game or a game with like 5 turnovers from somehow. It's one or the other. So this could be a shootout. This could be a blowout. I still think Miami are going to win, but I'm not so confident at the 9.5 point spread. I think it might be a game that will come down to again the fourth quarter. But give me Miami. But I'm looking forward to seeing this one because I just don't know what Washington team's going to turn up. Do you?
I mean, Washington have been one of the most unpredictable teams in the league this year, and now they stare down the barrel of a 4-8 record. And to be honest, I think Miami offense is going to have an absolute field day on Sunday. It's going to be murder. But I think the Washington offense as well gets stuff going with a very, very, very banged up Dolphins. So you said you don't know if it'll be a blowout or a shootout. I think I'd edge towards shootout side of things. Miami look good. They're well truly back on track after the loss to Kansas City. It is no secret that, but I think they win this. I think it's pretty comfortably, but I think they give up quite a lot of points. I think that'll be how it goes.
That's the thing. It'd be interesting to see how the Dolphins' defense look because since since about week 6 of the season, they've been one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. They're in top 3 in pretty much every single category since since that loss to Buffalo earlier in the season, and a few games either side of that as well. You could say, but they've been excellent. But without Jaden Phillips on their pass rush, then they might be a different proposition. So we'll see how it looks with Bradley Chubb next to Jason Pierre-Paul or Andrew Van Ginkel or Emmanuel Ogbah. How they seem to divide the three of them after Phillips' Achilles. But the Dolphins, again, they're one of the Super Bowl contenders for a reason. They're so good, and I think they'll move to 9-3. Okay, on to two of the biggest disappointments in 2023. It's the Chargers and the Patriots. They face off in this game as Brandon Staley and Bill Belichick are hoping to steer their teams in different directions to at least finish the season on a positive note. In reality, I think both are probably coaching their final couple of games in their job. I think both will leave. I don't know if they'll be fired, but I think both will leave the team they're currently at the end of the season. And as I predicted on Monday, the Pats have gone for Bailey Zappi at quarterback this week. I think he was a little bit better than Matt Jones after in his half of football, but I don't think it'll make much difference. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they'll force a few turnovers too. With the Chargers, I keep saying it. Since the first few weeks of the season, their defense hasn't been the issue. It's not been. I mean, Brandon Staley maybe situationally, but it's been their offense. They've been injured. They've been without Mike Williams and Josh Palmer, but they still got some decent skill players. It's the fact that, and I'm not even going to blame Herbert here. I think he's come unstuck at some opportunities, and I think in the fourth quarter he's had many chances to go and pull a drive together, and he's not done it with 3, 4, 5 opportunities. But I'm going to say actually it's just been they keep dropping and fumbling the football. It's like the Chiefs. It's little mistakes which literally cost you games. I thought they'd be a playoff team like 4 weeks ago with the way they've been playing great football, but the last few weeks they've literally lost the games because
4 and 7. They're 4-7 now.
Yeah, exactly. It can be a completely different story if they had maybe 2 more wins on their record, but it's just not the case. Kellen Moore's offense hasn't been good. I think actually this is probably Herbert. Well, it is his worst year of his career. And if he gets the head coaching job, then I think they'll have the same situations. I just think they just need a complete reset in that building. I think just ignore this season. And that's part of the reason why, as I said, I think I'm going to pick the Chargers to win this game, but I think New England will keep this close, and they might even upset here, if I'm being honest. But I think the Chargers are just a little bit too talented to lose this game.
Yeah, completely. I mean, you spoke about the Chargers offense, and I agree it's hard to get something going when you draft a wide receiver you can't catch. But the Patriots that are sitting at 2-9, they've just lost to Tommy DeVito. Bailey's actually started. Chargers will win, but it'll be a shit show, completely and utterly. I mean, it's just, as you said, the Chargers are too talented to lose this. You never know. Maybe it's Bill Belichick's one and
that's what I mean.
Potentially final, last.
Keenan Allen might miss this game as well. He's not practiced all week, so that in that case, maybe swing towards New England. But I know. I hope this is a Justin Herbert game. That's what I'm putting my. Do
you know what? I don't know or care who wins this. So I'm going to say New England will win it.
Oh, go for it.
I'm going New England.
There we are. Okay, we'll go over to a big game in the NFC playoff picture between the Lions and the Saints, especially of how both teams looked last week, failing to turn up in big division games. Detroit have basically already secured a playoff spot, but they are fighting with San Francisco for the 2 seed. And should San Francisco win this week, maybe even the 1 seed too. That being said, they got spanked by the Packers last week, so we don't know what team they are. They're up and down. We don't know what team they are. Drop this game, and they're basically stuck in no man's land at the 3 seed, and they could potentially rest players. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they would drop down to the 4 seed because of how terrible the NFC South have been. That being said, right, the Saints are looking to bounce back from their embarrassing offensive performance against the Falcons last week. They had nothing. They've been terrible in the red zone all year, but it was so evident in this game, going 0-5 in the red zone. It sounds obviously they lost. They were without Michael Thomas in that game, and they lost Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed to injuries in that game. It sounds more encouraging that Chris Olave plays than Rashid Shaheed. If one has to play for the Saints in this game, one has to, because if neither of them play, then they've lost this game straight away. Luckily, it might be a good time for the Saints to have a bounce back performance, because the Lions' defense has been bad the last few weeks. It's a good reset game for their offense. They could put up yards, but the fact they're 29th in the red zone all season, makes me pick Detroit as well as the injuries. But I bet the under. The Lions are favoured by 4.5 in this game, and I think it will be a shootout as it was with the Colts game for the Saints, which they ended up winning 39-38. I think it will be some sort of game, especially with the Lions involved. But yeah, give me the Lions to just edge the shootout after coming off a mini bye as well after playing on Thursday. I think I'll be a little bit more rested. Give me the Lions.
I mean, I think I've said on most of the podcasts that I've done this year, the Saints are a weird team. They are really, really weird. And you don't really know which version's going to turn up. I mean, they were terrible last week, and they really struggled to get it going last week. But so did the Lions. I mean, I think the Lions win. I would take the over. I think Dan Campbell doesn't lose 2 games like that. It's sort of big games, I guess. I think they are sitting comfortable, the Lions in the 3 seed, as you said. But if San Francisco do win, it blows it wide open. I think they'll be back on the back of these Lions players' minds, and I think they'll turn up in a big spot and go through and get the win.
Awesome. Okay, we'll finish off the 6 p.m. slate with a Super Bowl 43 rematch between the Cardinals and the Steelers. Obviously, that one was won by Big Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers, and they're the favourites in this one. They're favoured by 5.5 points. And I'm looking forward to watching this one just to see what their offense looks like, because last week was super encouraging. They have a joint effort between a few coaches play calling after the Matt Canada firing. And if they can do what they did last week again, then I think they'll win this game and they'll have one foot in the postseason at 8-4. Arizona played one of their worst games of the season last week. They were a horrific division game as well, and they've normally been very good at home this year compared to what they've been away. This one is away from home, and I think they'll struggle again. I think they've got a few too many skill positions banged up. Hollywood Brown, Dortch, Michael Wilson's all have Trey McBride as well. They've all had niggles over the last couple of weeks. Pass rush. Give me the Steelers to win this game. I think that it'll be by more than 5.5 as well. That's my pick of the week. The Steelers absolutely smashed the Cardinals in this one, because I'm so encouraged by what they did last week.
Yeah, no, completely. If they can get it going on offense with this defense, they're a team. They're a serious team. I mean, I'm really kind of excited about this game. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me, but the Cardinals consistently find a way to cope when it's not ideal. And they got big injuries and big skill positions. And you're thinking like, how they're going to somehow do something with this? Because you kind of know they will. But, I mean, I think it is one too many big players missing, especially against this Steelers team that can just run through you with a great defense. I think the defense will overwhelm the Cardinals. And as you said, your pick of the week, I'll take it. I'll bet on it. But, yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think Cardinals win this. I think Cardinals overall, if you look at their record, they've been really unlucky this year because they haven't been as bad as their record reflects at all.
They've been better than what, 2-9, 2-10, whatever they are. They've been better than that.
Yeah, but it's going to get worse.
They're going to the bye after this game as well. So going into the bye, if they can get a win going into the bye, then maybe that'll.
And at this point, do they just tank a little bit?
It's interesting.
It's going to be worthless
for them. Kyler Murray will not want to. They're not going to arrest Kyler. This is Kyler Murray's audition, so that's the thing. I'm assuming you're going Pittsburgh, right?
Oh yeah, completely, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Okay, so we'll go over to the big game now. We'll go over to the Sunday 9 p.m. slate. Obviously, the main game on Sky is the NFC Championship rematch from last year. The Niners going into Philly, the 8-3 Niners against the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles. I can't wait for this one. Game of the week for sure. And it's slated to be one of the best games of the season. We've seen two of the games of the season recently as well. The ones, the mad Philly Buffalo game last week, and then obviously the Dallas Seattle game on Thursday night. But this one I think will be right up there as well. If the Niners can win this one, it just shakes up the race for the 1 seed completely, because you've then got 3 teams in it. You got Philadelphia going into Dallas next week. And that's with Dallas off a mini bye as well. The Eagles have to win this one. If the Niners win this one, as I said earlier, it just shakes the NFC up completely. It's weird. The Niners, themselves are coming off some extra rest after beating Seattle on Thanksgiving last week, which is why I guess they're 2.5 point favourites in this one on the road. Added to the injuries for Philly as well. They've got a few injuries. They're a bit more banged up than the Niners are. They're still good. They're not missing too many key players, but I've got a few injuries. And it just makes it so interesting because, in my opinion, Philly has probably been the best team in football the last month or so. I think the Niners number 2 and maybe number 3 behind Dallas. And all of these Philly games are so meaningful. We'll have our eyes on all of them. And on MVP favourite Jalen Hurts. This is just going to be a fascinating game, isn't it, Owen? And the difference may come at quarterback. It's a huge game for both guys.
It's so huge. I mean, this game is Hollywood. This game is amazing. I mean, the Eagles have just rolled over the Chiefs and the Bills. Everyone's thinking, can anyone stop them? And it is.
I wouldn't say roll over the Bills. They won a shootout game.
That last drive was impressive. That last drive in a big spot, that was cool. But I mean, it's an NFC Championship game rematch, and the theory on 49ers Twitter and stuff like that, they're out for blood. Is for some reason for them, it's a big revenge game. And I think Shanahan spoke midweek about how he hasn't stopped thinking about the championship game loss and how he let his guys down and yada yada yada. But every matchup in this game excites me. Even the stupid ones, like O-line. Well, it's not stupid, but O-line. I've never been more excited for an O-line versus D-line matchup on both sides of the ball. I mean, yes, the 49ers are just going to got Chase Young to make them even better. And it's coming up against this Philly offensive line, which is, as time and time again, proved to be probably the best in the league. And you look at the Philadelphia Eagles defense and their D line, where you got Jalen Carter, who's had a great rookie year, and you got that team, all them staples from last year, which had a huge year. It's an unbelievable game, and I can't wait to watch it.
Mate, I share your enthusiasm as well. One of the reasons why it's such a big game, obviously, is because the Niners were without Brock Purdy for the championship game after he took the hit to his elbow. He's had his critics, but since the bye week especially, he's been excellent. This is another game in the national spotlight, a great chance to prove people wrong. A chance to get revenge on Philly after the elbow injury, as I said. That championship game was just huge, and it sort of lost its shine after Purdy went out of the game. And then for Jalen Hurts, obviously, he's just seen Dak Prescott have another good game on prime time. Have a down game here, and just blows the MVP race open again. And that's the thing, unless Tyreek Hill gets 2,000 yards, at this point, I think the winner of the NFC East will have the MVP, whether it's Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott. I think that's the way it's going. That's probably the way it's going this season. So it's,
probably.
This game, not only does it have complications between San Francisco and Philly, if Philly loses this game, then Dallas are right there, and that's why it's just so. It's why it's so entertaining.
Huge. It's such a big game. I mean, as you said about Tyreek, I think even if Tyreek gets 2,000, it'll be a 3-horse race. I think it'll be so tight. There's so many implications to this game. It's just amazing. I think with my pick for this game, I'm going to choose chaos. I'm going to back Shanahan. And I think San Francisco gets it done in a big spot. I think it's through the running game and McCaffrey. I think that'll be a huge factor in this one. But I'm going to choose violence, choose the chaos route, blow the season wide open, blow the NFC wide open. I'm taking the Niners. As much as it pains me, I'm taking the Niners.
Do you know what? I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna pick San Francisco too, but I'd bet the under. I think it'll be very close, and I think that Philly certainly have a shot to win this game. It's just because it sounds like Dallas got it. Won't be back for this one. And Fletcher Cox hasn't practiced with his groin as well. Lane Johnson's been banged up. Like they're three pretty key players for the Eagles.
They're huge.
So I mean they. Goddard obviously offers some passing game obviously and in the run game too. Fletcher Cox obviously he's not too much of a loss because you've got Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter and and other guys in the interior of that defensive line. But if it just for me, the Niners are hardly banged up at all, other than losing Talanoa Hufanga. That's it. And safety is one of the positions you can replace. It's not a starting corner. It's not a left tackle. It's not a Nick Bosa. So give me San Francisco to win this game. I just can't wait for it. Bring it on, man. Bring it on.
Bring it on. I mean, you mentioned Jordan Davis as well. Did you see the video on Twitter?
He can sing, man.
Oh, what a talented man! It's beautiful.
Yeah. I don't think anyone is really going to be watching, unless you support these teams, is really going to be watching the other two games in the late slate. But if you do support these teams, then we will go through them. Don't worry. So we'll start with the Browns going into LA to play the Rams. This one suddenly is a pretty big game with playoff implications too, after the Rams have won 2 straight games, both in Division 2. It's going to feel like an old school game here, because it may be Joe Flacco against Matthew Stafford. Obviously 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, and it's because Dorian Thompson-Robinson is in concussion protocol. It's unsure if he plays or not right now. It might be Joe Flacco, who signed with the Browns a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully Myles Garrett plays in this game. Hopefully he's good to go. He hurt his shoulder against the Broncos last week. He says he's still confident he plays, but he hasn't practiced this week, so whether he actually plays or not, is here or there. It's not just him. The Browns are pretty banged up, which is why I'm going to go for the Rams to shock. I say shock. I think it's a shock, but the Rams are favourite in this game. They're 3.5-point favourites, and it's because obviously the Browns on their 4th quarterback. They could be the first team to win with their 4th quarterback since the 60s or something like that. It's an unreal stat, that. But for me, I'm just going to go for the Rams. I think they're so healthy. And it's in LA as well. And I don't know, if Myles Garrett doesn't play in this one, then the Rams win this easily. But the fact that he might play sort of makes it difficult to pick. But I'm going to go for the Rams anyway.
I mean, the Browns are 7-4 and sit 3rd in the division, which is stupid, because you look at some of the other divisions of the league, it's horrible. But I mean, please, Cleveland, because the Rams have done the double over us. So if they win this, they will also be on 6-6 and take our spot in 2nd in the division, which is huge for playoff implications, obviously. But in Joe Flacco, I trust. I'm taking the Browns purely on vibes and defense. Myles Garrett and vibes. I'm taking the Browns.
Fair play. And then we'll finish with a game which I think will be vibes between the 1-10 Panthers and the 4-7 Bucks. It's the first game for Carolina with their interim head coach Chris Tabor, who is the special teams coach or was a special teams coach before he became the interim head coach. The Bucs have to win this game. They have to lose this, and they're too far back from the Saints and the Falcons, I'd say, in the division. Win this, and there's a chance they will actually have the same record as the Saints and the Falcons at 5-7. In fact, a division leader could be 5-7 by the end of this game, which is just absolutely nuts. Horrific division. I think there's also a chance that all 4 coaches are fired in this division as well this season. Even with the one that makes the playoffs, I actually think there's probably quite a big chance of that happening. And although Carolina may have a bounce, I think this game is just too big for the Bucs to lose. Even though they're missing Chris Godwin, Levante David potentially as well, I'm going to pick them to win this game. Just because, new coach bounce, it'll make this one close. But the Bucs just simply have to win this game, otherwise their season's over. Yeah,
it's huge for Bucs, and I think everyone knows it. I think it's going to come down to like one of them where you look at it on paper, Carolina are bad. Carolina are very bad. And the Bucs they're not good, but they haven't really they've been better than I expect them to be. And I think it'll be one of them sort of where the big name players like your Mike Evanses and such take over, and I think the Bucs win, but I think it's going to be entertaining. I think it's going to be like surprisingly tight. So I'm going to back Bucs.
The good news in that one as well is that Baker Mayfield is healthy as well, which is excellent news for them.
It's huge.
Okay, we'll go over to Sunday Night Football before we finish with Monday Night Football, where the Chiefs go into Green Bay, and this one is now a fun one. We wouldn't have thought that a few weeks ago. I thought this could have even been flexed, I think, 3 weeks ago. But the Packers have won 3 of the last 4 games, and they have catapulted their way into the NFC playoff picture, thanks to other results too. Pull off a shock in this one. The Chiefs are failed by 6.5 points. It's almost a whole whole score, and they're right there with a chance with the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Rams as well. Kansas City looked better offensively last week, especially in the second half. Their season high 17 points. Scored against the Raiders in the second half last week, which is very encouraging for them. And I'm going to pick them. Their defense will just do their thing against a banged up Packers offense too. And hopefully their offense will look the same again. I do hope this one's a game though, because I'm looking forward to seeing what Jordan Love can show me again, because he had a blip at the end of the middle of the season. He wasn't great at all. The last few weeks, Jordan Love has impressed me, especially his game against the Lions on Thanksgiving. The Packers have come off a bit of a mini bye as well. They haven't played in 10 days. Playing on Sunday Night Football as well gives you even more time. So I hope this one will be interesting. I'm going to go for the under points wise, but give me spread wise. Sorry, but give me the Chiefs to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a fun one now. And as you said, I just didn't expect it to be. This Green Bay playoff drive, it's just really funny. It's just really cool. I love to see it. I mean, it's just the Kansas City Chiefs haven't been the Kansas City Chiefs in certain games this year. I mean, I think I agree. I think Kansas City take this. I think they're just too good. They're too better. These are banged up Green Bay side. They've been great defensively and offensively. Well, making it work offensively, but I think against this Chiefs defense and offensive, I think it depends if Taylor Swift's going to watch or not, if Travis Kelce can have a game. But at the end of the day, I think, if you look at the star power, Chiefs are too strong. I'm going to say Chiefs, but I don't think this is the end of the Green Bay playoff drive. I think they can afford one loss and then they got to win on out, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then we'll finish with Monday Night Football, which is the Jags and the Bengals meeting what should have been a battle of number 1 pick quarterbacks. Instead, it's Jake Browning's Bengals heading to Jacksonville in an attempt to stay alive in the AFC playoff race, whilst the Jags need to win this game in the quest for the 1 seed. The Bengals look better than I thought they would do against the Steelers without Joe Burrow, but I think the Jags' defense, it's another one that's opportunistic, that will limit them offensively, that will probably turn the ball over as well. And even if the Bengals have T. Higgins, which they might do in this game, I'm still going to pick the Jags just because they looked really good last week on offense. They got the easiest schedule. It's a 4-way shootout for the 1 seed. I think all 4 teams will be on 9-3. All 4 division leaders will be 9-3 by the end of this week. The Jags probably have one of the easiest schedules, if not the easiest one. So win this one, and they are looking good for the 1 seed. Give me the Jags to win this one. But I think the Bengals will make it interesting. So I'm going to go for the under 8.5 points.
I mean, it's weird with the Bengals this year. Is if you look at the past results, they seem to play better against better opponents. They seem to struggle against the worst ones. And the 83 Jags are a good team, and I expect this to sort of become a game. I think early on, the Jacksonville Jaguars may run away with it late on. But I think for 3 quarters, this might be a very, very good game. And yes, I'm going to take the Jags, but I don't think it'll be as simple as it is on paper. I wouldn't count Cincinnati out. I know you haven't got Joe Burrow, who was one of the best in the league on his day by a mile. But they made it work last week. He didn't look too bad last week, so you never know.
Yeah, and that's it. That's such a short slate. We're over in about 45
really
minutes,
is.
mate. Yeah, it is.
I was checking my notes. Like, hang on, I missed one.
That's what you get when you have 6 teams on a bye. And this is what it'll be like in the playoffs too. I can't wait for the playoffs. Just bring them on now. I think. Yeah, but before that, we've got an excellent couple of weeks coming up. Just because there's so much. This is the closest the NFL has ever been. Certainly in the last 10 years or so, this has been
since
so
I can
close.
Remember, yeah, since I can remember. You still have like the standout teams, but the playoff in the hunt, like the wild cards. Every wild card's up for grabs. You're like,
it's just you've got some bad teams, you've got some mid teams, and you've got some very, very good teams. And
very
it's just like
good teams.
it's like 3 tiers rather than like 4 or 5 as it has been in previous years.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it, mate? I just like it's
some
the
great.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
I was going to say it's the fact that we're gonna get 4 teams potentially in the AFC on 9-3, but yet the 3 best teams in the league could be in the NFC. It's just brilliant, isn't it? It's just
it's ludicrous. And if you look later on, we still have some incredible matchups to go in, ones that could define seasons. And it's like, yes, I want the playoffs to come tomorrow, but I still can't wait for the build-up.
Yeah, mate. Well, as I said earlier, in the intro, thank you for joining us, mate. We'll have you on, before the playoffs for sure. And that's it, mate. Thank you very much. You've been listening to the Week 13 preview on the Full 10 Yards NFL podcast. I will see you on Tuesday, recapping all of the games in Week 13. Probably leading off with the massive game in Philadelphia between the Niners and the Eagles. This has been the Full 10 Yards NFL podcast. I've been your host, Sam Moores, and I will see you then.